Welcome back to Ask the Attorney. I'm Amy Rao Mohan here with Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm in Clarksville. We've got some more calls, and keep them coming at 737 plus 737-7587.
You know, I want to say one thing, Amy, before we take our next caller. I was reflecting over that last conversation. He said, should I throw her things out? And I wanted to say, you know, it begs for that statement, a good understanding keeps down a misunderstanding. Meaning, again, when are you going to come? And if she says, I want nothing, and I said, okay, then write me a letter and tell me that. Or I would write you a letter, dear Amy, this memorializes our conversation when you said you wanted nothing for me to destroy this. And even then, I might video it, I might document it, because it could easily come back in a divorce.
Yeah, I can see that happening. All right, we've got May here. Hi, May. May?
Yes.
Go
Hello?
right ahead, May. Good to talk to you.
Hi. I have a question, please. It's just my brother and myself, and we've lost our parents, and there was a piece of real estate left. It was a home that they had bought and paid for.
Yes.
Now, if we wanted to sell that property, what would we need to do?
Well, first off, if we got to determine if there was a will and the will left it to you, then you really need to probate the will. If there was no will, then you or your brother should open the estate and just say, you know, we are the heirs. Keep it open long enough to see if there's going to be any claims, which there probably will be no claims. And then the probate court could issue you and your brother a deed, and or in the probate they could issue a letter of testamentary and give you the authority to sell the property, put it in the estate, and when you close the estate, those proceeds would be dispersed by the administrator or the executive. But you need to do something, because again, you're not going to have title to sell until you've got someone legally authorizing you to sign the deed and transfer title.
Right. We've got, I think we may have lost Rick, so we've got Carla here. Hi, Carla.
Hi. I spoke with Kevin last month about an attorney who's been publicly censured as a result of an investigation that I asked the Board of Professional Responsibility to do. And they have, I just got notice that there's another attorney as part of the same investigation who's now been given a private admonition. And I understand that he can practice law, and I don't have any quarrel with that one way or the other. But because that's because it is private, I'm wondering if I am supposed to be a part of this confidentiality. In other words, how if there's any way that I can make this work for me in a court of law where I've had so many reverses prior to these things. The second question is the attorney who was publicly censured, as I indicated to you, he owed me money. The board told him that he would have to make restitution, and within 90 days he hasn't done it. I'm going back to court, and I'm told that I should ask him to show cause. But I've also been told by one of the clerks that he can ask for up to 2 more continuances, which just sounds really bizarre, because the fact that he was never, when he didn't show up and I got the default judgment, you would think that he would be declared in contempt of court. So if you could...
yeah, I'll address those things for you. You know, the Board of Professional Responsibility, they do a great job trying to police and hold lawyers accountable, so I think that is good. And then so much of that has to be under confidentiality based on the rules and laws in which they operate. Back to the person, if you get a judgment, and you've got the judgment, remember this, a judgment is a piece of paper that orders. There's thousands and tens of thousands of judgments at the courthouse that no one's paying on. So you have to take a proactive approach to try to collect it. One thing that you might consider doing is issuing an asset subpoena to the person that owes you money, and that can order them to come into court, bring in whatever assets and records regarding that. If they refuse to come in, then yes, the General Sessions judge could hold them in contempt for refusing to do that. Now remember this, those lawyers or anyone who owes money has a right to bankruptcy. If they chose to do that, they can file a bankruptcy. They'll send you notice, list you as a creditor, and when it goes through and it's discharged, that's the end of it. You can't ask them anymore. So just because you get a judgment doesn't mean that you'll ever collect. And that's a great question, and I love for everyone to hear, because as a young man, before I went to law school, I worked in business, and I said, well, golly, you know, the guys I work for, we'll just sue them. We'll own that home. We'll own their car. Yeah. Well, it's not quite quite so easy because there's so many rights under the law that people have. So we go back to the same thing. You must advance your cause. Don't lay around. Don't keep pursuing it. And
with the continuances, maybe look at the local rules, because I think, at least in Davidson County, I think that you get at least one continuance
Yes.
on each side for general sessions, and maybe it's two, or
that's
maybe
true.
it is in that county.
Yeah, and you know, that's a good reason because, you know, people get sick, people have car wrecks, and so we shouldn't just right off the bat be thrown out of court because we couldn't get there for whatever reason. So as a standard now, two, you're not supposed to get these continuances unless you got some good cause, and each judge is given wide discretion, and so that's where we are.
Right, we've got Jeff here. Hi,
Okay,
Jeff. Jeff, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
All right, how can we help you tonight?
Yes, this is about the decriminalization law on the marijuana.
Okay.
I was just wondering, somehow there's not let's see, what was the word, the conflict of interest, maybe not.
Okay.
You know, they say like 28 grams or a half an ounce. It's in the officer's discretion whether he can give you a citation for a $50 fine.
Yep.
Or, say, 10 hours public service. Well, so suppose he don't want to have his discretion, so he can just take you to jail now and have you arrested and make you pay bond, get a lawyer, and be subject to pay the $2,500 fine and a year in jail. Help me to understand what that's about.
Well, let me say this. You weren't far off when you talk about conflict of laws, because there's still federal laws that say that you can't operate with drugs, you can't possess them, you can't sell them, and that's why we have a bunch of lawyers, because naturally, if you were caught in that situation, I would hire a lawyer immediately and maintain that I didn't do anything wrong because I don't want to admit things against my interest. And again, this new law is riddled with problems. And of course, once they've just passed this, then it'll have to go through the courts for interpretation.
And I don't know when it takes effect, or maybe it already takes effect. I'm
But
not
you
sure.
know, that's why we have so many problems even in Colorado, because the federal government will not recognize their right to sell marijuana. So it is a hot issue, and I know people have called me, and we're researching the thing now and asking, what is your legal opinion? Well, then, you know, we'll call and talk to different people from Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. But when you're dealing with police and law enforcement, when you're out there on the street, they're going to charge you. And then I want to say this too, you know, if you're on probation and you have to get a random drug screen, and you say, well, this is legal. And if you come up with that THC and drugs in your system, they're going to violate you. And you know, we hear a lot of people say, I didn't smoke any marijuana. You know, I was in the room and I guess it went in my pores and I didn't really inhale, but you know, I flunked this test. Well, you just count on it. You're going to get a violation of probation. Here we go. That's why you need to get a lawyer. He probably can get you out of it, but here we go.
All right, we'll get Sarah here. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Hello.
My situation is that I obtained a divorce about 2.5 years ago, and me and my husband used the same attorney, and I was advised, rather, by the attorney that I should just go. We were both retired, just go with the money that I had from my retirement program and my Social Security, even though there was like a $20,000 difference between my husband's and mine.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
And it struck me that didn't seem right at the time, and I have pondered over that since then. And I was just wondering if you could...
I will address
Can
it.
she modify her divorce decree?
Well, and here we go. The first thing is, who did the lawyer represent? Now,
both of them, which is
well, and
interesting.
there's a gray area because we would never do that at our law firm. We could represent the husband and or the wife. They could agree, but I would, if I was representing Amy, I would take my orders from Amy. So again, what does that really mean? I'm trying to look after Amy because I'm representing her. And so that is a very slippery slope. You start down when you say, well, they're representing both of us. No, when you look at the divorce decree, it will probably say he was representing one of you and the other one was representing themselves or pro se. So I always want my own independent counsel because, yes, it doesn't sound right, and if you settle for something and left $20,000 on the table, you kind of bought the farm. So that's a word to the wise. Everyone listen, get your own lawyer.
But can she go back and modify her?
Well, it's a gray area. One of those areas would be, did someone misrepresent something to her? If she could, if it's within a year, we would file and say that was misrepresented to us. But of course, the court can come back and say, were you represented? Ma'am, did you have an opportunity to hire your own lawyer? Did you choose to? Did you read the papers? So we go through a host of things. But a really creative lawyer probably could open that up. So let's just talk about it for 1 second. You lost $20,000. Your lawyer might have cost you $500. So was he a good investment or a bad investment? Everybody, I don't want to spend $500. Okay, I understand. But the truth is, remember, you heard me say before, the smartest people always hire the best lawyers because they're worth it.
Yep, that's true. All right, we've got Johnny. Hey, Johnny. Johnny, are you with us?
Yes, hello.
Hi, go ahead.
Yeah, my question is regarding, I'm a new home buyer.
Yes.
I've had my home almost a year now, with my 1-year builder's warranty about to run up.
I got you. I knew where you were going as soon as you started talking. Hit it.
Yes, sir. So I've had some conflict just with my contractor in the past about fixing certain things in a timely manner and just being, willing to do so
Right.
happily, which is understandable. But one issue I had, and I've asked a few people, but there are some hackberry trees built, right next to my house. And being a first-time home buyer, I didn't think in the building process to ask them to be removed.
Okay.
It's caused problems. I've had 2 windshields need to be replaced because they've cracked my car windshield in the driveway. And I've been told by 5 different arborists that they never should have been left there when the house was built. Bringing this to my contractor, he says he has nothing to do with it. He doesn't have to do anything about it, and he thinks that's a matter of opinion.
Right, and here's kind of when you let the buyer beware. It's an old Latin maxim. So when we start to buy a home, usually that warranty covers his manufacturing of the home. It would cover the materials going into the home and the labor. It doesn't usually cover trees in the yard. So again, he may have an argument, and so you have to go and deal with that. And it gets down to the reasonable man test. Would a reasonable man have bought that home where those trees are, or would a reasonable man have taken it upon himself, assumed the risk, bought the home at the price, knowing that he may have to remove those trees at his own expense?
Yeah, and it's worth looking at that warranty too and seeing exactly what it covers. All right, we've got, I believe, JD or GD maybe on 5 here. Are you with us, GD?
GG.
GG.
Go
okay,
ahead,
sorry.
GG.
Thanks. I have a house on a lake in the borough, and my wife's sister, her son, her nephew, has taken over his mother's estate, and he said he had a buyer for his house, and we have shared the septic tank for 51 years.
Come on.
And no friction in the family whatsoever.
I'm hearing you.
So I agreed to get off the septic tank and be congenial and everything. And after I did it, he said that he wanted to buy my house, and I offered him a price, and he said, your house is worth nothing since it doesn't have a septic tank, and you can't get one. So what do I do?
Wow. Wow. I'm never cease to be amazed from treachery or someone who will make a representation and back up. And I salute you, because you do reap what you sow. Try to always be a person of your word, but we have to be extra sensitive. Now, there's some gray areas. I would not yell that I can't get one. I'm not sure about that problem, and I wouldn't make a lot of statements. I would go find out what the building and codes requirements and the soil test requirements are on yours, and you may end up having to sue this gentleman on his representation. You know, the statute of frauds requires a writing. However, if there's admissions made, yes, that's true. Yes, I did represent you, that we would never have a problem, then I don't think he's away. You may have to hire a lawyer and file a lawsuit. And of course, if he's trying to say your property's worthless, that is a substantial claim. If you do nothing, you get what? Nothing. And so I believe we'll advance. And they may not want to defend a lawsuit brought by the Kennedy Law Firm.
Right, and we know we've got some people waiting patiently. We'll get to you right after the break, and we'll be back with Kevin Kennedy after this.